Okay, there we go.
Thank you.
I don't know where it's recording, but it's recording. Okay.
So right.
The second half of what I'm going to do tonight is just going to be activities, talking about student reactions and just experiencing some of the activities that I've used in class that everyone might want to consider using in the classroom. So I'm going to start with an angle on well-being from the theory of attachment and attachment theory. Can I get some tools here? No, I can't. Okay. So here, if I click this, is it okay? No, it's not. Okay. All right. So up the top here, a broad overview of attachment theory. So attachment theory was a theory developed by a man called John Bowlby, another British person in the late 80s. The ideas are not going to be new, but he was the first to actually put it into a theory and say, basically this, that the early childhood experiences we have with our caregivers, that might be our parents or foster parents or people who are looking after us, lead us into one or two styles of attachment, or we can change the word attachment to relationship. So we either develop a secure relationship with our caregivers or an insecure relationship with our caregivers. The theory is much, much more complicated and detailed than this basic idea, but the basic idea is like this. We either have secure and healthy relationships with our caregivers, or we have insecure relationships with our caregivers. This is important because at an early age, the experiences we have, we forget. All our experiences before the age of 5 are forgotten in our conscious brain, but they're not forgotten by our bodies. And so the patterns of relationship, the kind of relationship that we develop, the responses that we give to our caregivers, we forget where they come from. And yet later in life, they have effects on how we build new relationships with other people. Now, that's the basic idea. We should say that we don't just have one style of attachment. There are different kinds of relationships that we develop as we grow older. So here you can see, we don't just have one figure that we attach ourselves to. Of course, we have our parents or caregivers, but there are also teachers and friends. And the important one for us as teachers is the fact that as teachers, we can create secure and healthy relationships with our students, or we can create insecure relationships with those students. Understanding attachment theory a little bit better helps us understand that students don't come in a uniform package. They have had these different experiences, and they may not understand what the way that they are acting in the classroom. But as teachers, we can act as models, or as it says on the bottom of the screen here, surrogate parents. The Latin term loco parentis is a word that you'll often hear Japanese teachers use when they talk about bringing students up through the junior high school or even the high school education system. The important thing is in the field of neuroscience is that we can change students' relationships with us in the classroom. We can change their way of thinking about learning a language and also study in general, because we have a direct line to their brain. In the classroom, we are the people who can teach them what it is to have a secure and healthy relationship. One of the key points in research in this area is that idea of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity simply means our brains can change. It's now well accepted that our brains over the course of our lives continue to change. When I was a child, maybe 30 years ago, people said that, there is a limit, maybe the age of 11 or 12. And after that age, you can't really learn a language. And by the age of 18, your brain is fixed and you're not going to change that much. Your personality even will stay the same. However, nowadays we understand that because of neuroplasticity, our brains do actually change all the time. Even listening to me now, your brains are changing, maybe even just a little bit. So what does this mean for students in the classroom? Well, students who've grown up with insecure relationships in the family life or with caregivers or with friends who've had traumatic experiences in their early years, they may come into the classroom with a lot of stress. For example, past experiences or tension from experiences outside the classroom. And students that come with high levels of stress are not able to take in new information because stress inhibits or it stops our brains changing. We have neuroplasticity, but when we experience stress, we're unable to take in new information. We're unable to concentrate. We're unable to hear what other people even are saying to us. So what can we do about that? We want to build up relationships that are secure and healthy, because secure and healthy relationships are going to lower stress and create optimal learning conditions. What is an optimal learning condition? So a secure or optimal classroom is going to be one where a student is seen, or they feel they are seen by the teacher. Maybe that's even a small thing like the teacher remembers their name, but they feel they are seen by the teacher and they feel safe, not just with the teacher, but also with other students that they're studying with. And when they're in the classroom, they feel soothed, they feel calm and relaxed. So optimal classroom conditions are ones where students are recognized, are seen, are comfortable and safe. They don't have high levels of anxiety, and they're also soothed by the presence of people around them and activities in the classroom. On the other hand, insecure students often feel unseen and ignored. They may feel unsafe, judged by the teacher, judged by other students, and unable to speak. And that may also cause them to be agitated. As an example, imagine a student whose parents have been through the education system in Japan, and they know that they don't have to work very hard at university, and they don't really have to work very hard at learning English. So the parents' view is that speaking English isn't so important. And they tell that to their son or daughter who comes into the classroom with this feeling that it isn't really important because that's what they've been told. And they've listened to their parents' experiences that when their parents were going through university, teachers were like this, they couldn't remember my name, and it's going to be like this. And without thinking very deeply, the parents' own experiences have now influenced their children. And when the child comes into the classroom, they already feel that this is the way things are. They don't feel safe, and they're expecting certain things to happen with the teacher. So their behavior becomes agitated and sometimes combative, or pressing the teacher's buttons to get a response. And sometimes teachers give them that response. And so it continues the cycle of stress and tension, and no learning occurs. So what happens when no learning occurs? Students say to themselves, oh, I was right. My parents were right. It is just like this. And they feel good about it. Because when we predict even a negative thing and we are correct in our prediction, we feel good. Even for just a few minutes, we feel good about predicting our own negative points or negative points around us. So first, we should think about what are the positive things we can identify about our students and why do we like these things? So I was going to suggest a breakout room, but seeing as we're all here in the main room, maybe we can just turn on our cameras here and think about it together. What are some positives that we can identify with us about our students? What are the good things that our students do in the classroom? Okay, thanks, X, and see you, mate. Oh, we've got more people here. Okay, let's go to breakout rooms then. Let me start presenting 1 second. Or can I do this with, I don't know how to use Zoom. Okay, right, shall we try breakout room? I don't know if I can put the question there. Okay. Let me just copy the question and put it down into the chat. And welcome, everybody. There we go. There's 2 questions in the chat. What are some of the positives you can identify about the students that you teach, and why do you like these things? So maybe we can divide 3 and 3. Would that be good?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no idea. Oh, there we go. So let's make 2 runs. Then, okay. Oh, and 1 person dropped out, so I'll join room 2. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to jump into room 2. Oh, there you go. Hello, hi Bob. Okay, you're muted, mate.
Hey, I'm muted. Sorry. Hey, is Namiko here too?
Namiko. ナミコは日本語の方が
いいですか? So we're recording in this one?
I think it should be recording both of them, though.
Oh, could be. Okay.
Or I can.
So interesting topic. I was late getting into the room because I didn't have a passcode, and maybe that's why there aren't more people here, because it's a good topic. Pardon? So the question is what? So think of some positive things about students.
Yes. I mean, like when you go into the classroom, what is for you positive about students? What positive aspects do they bring into the classroom with them?
Well, I mean, I often start off with music to have like a positive vibe with music that they may have mentioned in a previous questionnaire of what songs they like, or I'll ask them, what do you want to hear? Let's have some music time. And so some students, especially ones that I had last year as well as this year, know to give me a suggestion and I'll play it and so I mean, I guess that counts, but it's been really challenging this year because I haven't gotten to know them as much as I did last year, because my students aren't sharing they're not turning on their cameras as much as my students did last year.
You're still online, right?
Well, yeah. And I'm going back face to face with some schools. I teach at 3 schools. So 2 of the 3 schools are going back face to face. And we started April face to face for a couple of weeks, and then 2 months of, Zoom with no face to face at all, with no cameras on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been kind of a drag, actually.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's very it's very atypical So I don't really have a lot of positives to go on
Yeah.
at this point. What kind of things are you thinking of?
No, I was just thinking about how we see our students, but of course, if you can't see them, you don't know if they're smiling or they're happy or how they're feeling.
I don't even know if they're paying attention or if they're doing something else often, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I assume, like, sometimes at one school, a couple of them are driving.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, so you just passively, you've tuned in, but you're not really there,
Yeah.
right? You're not fully there. So anyway, so it's kind of hard to say, but in a normal situation, what kind of things are you looking for? How would you answer the question?
That's a good question. How would I answer it?
I mean, what positives are you like?
I
Like,
look
if I
at
know a couple.
I think one of the big positives with students is that most of the time they do work together and that they're helping each other understand what they need to do, and that they are cooperative when they're asked to do something, that they do, when they understand what to do, that they do engage in what they're being asked to do. That in also creativity as well. I find a lot of times that with students that they find their own ways to do things, and then I say, okay, you want to take this activity that way, that's fine. Or you want to take a conversation and change it a little bit, that's fine. I actually think that, it's kind of the connectedness between the students is really, really good. They are connected as positive, more than perhaps motivation or engagement with the actual lesson. They do have a very strong sense of connection to each other. So that's kind of positive thing for me that I see.
Are you talking about even on Zoom classes?
No, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't teach much online. We went back face to face from last September, and Zoom was just a very bland experience for me.
It's not working very well for me, but
and students, when I ran some surveys on students, and they said that the one thing that they wanted was connection. So even though they weren't turning their cameras on, they said, one thing that they really missed was being connected with other people. And and I think we all felt the same way. But then when they got back into the classroom, it was amazing to see that they're really, really, the students I teach are really, really happy to be in the classroom and not online. Although now it's getting hotter, they're kind of starting to say, I want to be back online.
Yeah, I don't want to have to get up earlier, right?
Namiko.
No, sorry. Yeah, I was talking and I realized that I was on mute the whole time. Sorry about that.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. I can't turn the camera on because I'm on my phone and my phone won't let me turn it on for some reason. So I apologize for that. I think it's exactly what you said, Bob. Like, I mean, those people who are teaching online right now, I think the problem is, we're comparing the way that we were teaching when we were face to face. And, we're kind of reminded of the nostalgia of, the pleasure of teaching face to face and all the things that maybe like we kind of took for granted in the classroom, like, their presence. I really do feel like their presence is a very like physically a positive thing, and that's something that may be very hard to kind of feel when you're online.
I'm also comparing this year's students that I have with last year's students who were much more willing to engage in the breakout rooms when I put them in pairs or small or groups of 3 to talk. This year, many of them are, I check in and a lot of them are just tuning out, or they're doing something else probably, right? They've got other homework that's more pressing than talking and connecting in a 5 or 6 minute chat. So anyway, I mean, I have a small sample size of my own experience, so I don't know whether it's just that it's okay, this is dragged on pretty long, and this,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
okay, so we got one more minute.
Okay, there we go. Muted myself along with everybody. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's go back to share my screen. See all my messy apps. Where did we get to? Okay, so when I prepared this presentation, I didn't really think about so much about the online situation. So some of what I'm going to talk about may not be useful at all. I hope some of it will be, although it's specifically directed at classroom teaching. I think there are maybe a few things that we can pull out for online teaching as well. So as teachers, what can we do to build secure relationships with students? There are three things, the first of which is physical imitation. We can model behaviors. Let's put that over there, right? So in neuroscience, there is a series of mirror neurons. And although we shouldn't think of these as specific things in the brain that exist, they exist more like networks of blood flow that activate when we see actions in other people that we understand. So if you see someone performing an action that you understand, it will activate the same circuits in your brain, even though you're not performing the action. So what does that mean? Well, if we look at the picture of a happy child here and he's laughing away, maybe when you look at that, you can also feel the same feeling inside yourself, even though you're not the person laughing, but you can imagine how that person is feeling and what kind of action they're going to do next. Mirror neurons do not work for behaviors that you've never experienced. So if you see someone performing a behavior you've never experienced, it's not going to activate something in your brain. You're just not going to understand it. But basic things such as smiling will activate and make other people smile at the same time. So one idea for classroom teachers who we're going back in to teaching with masks on is to just take a photo of yourself, laminate it, and have your smiling face on display for students, hang it around your neck and show students your smiling face, because maybe they've never, if they're first year students, they may have never seen your face at all. This year, I've been teaching face-to-face since actually last September. So this year's students, none of them had actually ever seen my face. So actually taking a photo in and with a smiling face is one thing that we can do to let students know that behind this mask, there is a person who does smile. And students are going to imitate our behavior if it's understandable and we show it to them. So for example, the gestures that we use, our tone of voice, if we sound enthusiastic about our teaching, then again, it's going to convey something to students and they're going to feel it themselves. So our body language, even though we've got face masks on and they're really, really uncomfortable in the summer because with the humidity, you get very sweaty under a face mask. It can be easy to feel run down as much as students are feeling run down. So thinking about how what kind of gestures we're using in the classroom, how we're presenting ourselves to students, and making sure that we take enough time to care for ourselves. Another thing is that I think this can be used online as well, is using mindfulness. The second part of a secure relationship with other people is by lowering stress and feeling calm. And we can do this just through a simple act of breathing. There are a lot of mindfulness activities that we can use, but just taking a moment just to breathe and notice how you're breathing. Just taking a big, deep breath in and then letting that breath out, and doing this with students, even online, 2, 3, 4 times, and have them just think about, at that point, how was their breathing? Before they took a deep breath, were they breathing really quickly? Or maybe they were breathing really slowly, or maybe, they felt a little tension, but just through the act of breathing in and breathing out, how their feelings change. And actually, what's going on is that when we take deep breaths in and breathe out, we're activating our parasympathetic nervous system, or the we have 2 nervous systems. One is for action, and it comes into play when we're excited and we need energy, and the other when we need to calm down. And if students who come from with, how do we say, an insecure relationship to learning English, or with their teachers, or the expectation that something bad's going to happen, or they're just stressed out because they've had to run between classes in 10 minutes and they want something to drink and they want a break, just taking a moment to refocus can be really beneficial, because it activates our calming down system. And when that happens, we can pay a little bit more attention. So that's one thing that we can try. There's a really good app that we can use, and I'll show that at the end. So just to sum up the first part, students learn a lot from the materials we teach and our behaviors in the classroom. They're often aware of how we feel through our body language, and whatever we can do to lower stress is not only going to help the students focus their attention, their brains, but it's also going to help them calm their emotions too. And those are things that we often can't see. So that brings us on to emotional attunement. So we talked a little bit about mirror neurons and imitating behavior. So imagine that you come to work and you're stressed because coronavirus, and you're worried because students don't always keep their masks on, and have things really been cleaned, and maybe you had to take the train to work. And again, there are many things that can stress us in life, but the coronavirus is perhaps a very big one at the moment. We might be tired and angry even. Imagine that you didn't have a good night's sleep, you woke up, you had maybe a little bit of an argument with someone in the family, and you come to work and you communicate all that to students, and then they mirror it all back to you. And classes can be chaos just because that was the way that we walked into the classroom. In many hotels, there is usually a mirror before the door that leads into the public areas. So the areas that public can't see. When staff go through those doors, there's usually a mirror. And by the mirror, a message that reads, "Check your smile." And that's a really good reminder for us. So how do we attune to our students' feelings then? If we know that we've got to take care of our own feelings, what about attuning to our students' feelings? So, well, yeah, we have to ask them to think about themselves and others. So not just how do you feel, but ask about how they feel and how they think other people in the class feel. If you're teaching online, maybe you've used PEDEC. I found this very useful when I was teaching online. I just could ask students at the end of the class, drag an icon to how you felt about the class. How was the class today for you? Was it just right, too easy, too hard? In a face-to-face class, this can be done on a piece of paper. The other thing that I found was excellent with PEDEC, and it's a great thing to do online and in person, is to say thank you to someone in your class. And the first time I did this with students, they thought it was hilarious. But with online teaching, we can show student responses anonymously. And here is an example of what the students wrote. And then at the end of the class, they're reading things like, thank you for making friends. Thank you to blah, blah for thinking together. Thank you, blah, 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 to talking with me every Friday. Thank you for helping me make questions and writing the answers. You know, basic ideas, but all just saying thank you to each other with their names often. Thank you to teacher for making Slade. I did not slay any students in that class. That was a typo. Okay, so because students are seeing this, when they leave the class having done something positive. So even though the class may not have been enjoyable, they may not have been as engaged as they wanted to be, at the end of the class, they could feel something positive. And over time, this kind of positive association at the end with something maybe they weren't that engaged in, and maybe you're lucky as teachers and you have engaged students. My students, not so much. They're not really too engaged. But that positive association at the end of the class then starts to affect their relationships within the class, and they're building secure relationships with each other by showing gratitude to other students. The third point and last point, and I think I should do this quickly because we need time to take a break soon, is emotional contagion. And this is basically very easy. If we want to get students interested, engaged, feeling positive feelings about the classroom, increasing their well-being by focusing on happy stuff, then we can start to use lots and lots of positive messages on our slides, on our handouts, on our messages to them. If you don't know what Bitmoji is an app you can use with Google. It works with social media. You can download the pictures and put them on slides and all sorts of things, and emoji as well. Bitmoji, you can create your own avatar so it looks like you, and just stick these messages everywhere, because it doesn't matter whether it's you smiling or just a character of you smiling. It still has the same effect as to activate another person's mirror neurons, or activate in another person's brain the same smiling face. So lots of smiling faces everywhere is one positive way that we can get students to start feeling happier. Another thing is that during a class, we can use something called positive affirmation. This is one I've adapted from a book by Louis Cozzolino, who's a neuroscientist. And a positive affirmation is just to read a simple statement at the beginning of each class to say something like this: we are a class. We're all going to work together to be happy speakers of English. We will protect and support each other. And we promise that we'll work together to make this the best classroom so that we are all successful. And if we can do this with students at the beginning of classes as a reminder of why we are here, why are we here together? We take in a deep breath, we calm ourselves, we breathe out, we have the images of smiling faces projected on the projector or on screen, and then we reaffirm that through voice, through actually reading and speaking together. And when we read positive words, then that should hopefully make us feel a little bit better again about the class. very, very last thing is our attitude in the classroom. The three things that I've talked about, actually the last one I haven't, can be found in the brain segs, and there's a link down here. I'll share the slides with anyone who wants them at the end. We have the issues on creating supportive relationships was covered in our edition on social brain. How to lower your stress levels was covered on an issue in depression. And one which I haven't talked about too much, bringing positive stories into the classroom, affirmations, and just positive stories in general is covered in a storytelling edition on the Mind Brain Think Tank. The impact of improving well-being in the classroom, of focusing on positives. There's things like better heart health, better general health, better immune system. But the thing as teachers that really I think we can make a big impact is better mental health. We can help students lower their levels of depression and anxiety, help them regulate their emotions better through providing models for them, and hopefully helping them develop better sleep patterns. So, and that point, I think we can take a break. And that was the theory part. The second part, we'll look at some activities that we can use. Is that okay, Brent? You're muted, mate.
Yes, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a short break then. Sorry about that. Well, not sorry. It's true. If you've got any questions, I'll still be here. If not, feel free. How long is the break, Brent?
It's what, 18:40, 4:45, 10 minutes?
10 minutes? Okay.
10 minutes. Come back at 5 to 7.
Okay.
I think.
Get up and move around, everybody.
Yeah. Get up and dance. Sorry. I've got an audience here. They're laughing at me. They've seen me dance, obviously. No, it's hot. Okay. I'm going to mute myself for a bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, you're there.
I am.
These emoji things, you just cut and paste them, do you?
Bitmoji depends on whether you're using Microsoft or Apple.
Ah.
You can use.
I
use.
haven't got a smartphone, so it wouldn't let me download the.
Ah, hold on. Yeah, I think originally you have. Let me show you what I've got. So let's say I want to add here. So on Gmail, no, this was a Google. You go to your extensions and
right.
you add it as an extension.
Oh.
And there are some kind of, some really negative, negative ones on here. So sometimes you have to play with them.
Oh, that's where I wonder where they came from. Those things on Facebook. I often see these on Facebook.
Yeah, I
Wondered how people made them.
and copy image, and then I can just drop it in.
Oh, right.
And
Oh, they're quite good, aren't they? Yeah.
there was one more reason for including these was that when students feel they're being watched, they actually, and whether that's you actually watching them or there's a pair of eyes or a picture of somebody watching them, studies found that people act more honestly.
Really?
There's a study of a coffee machine, and let's stop there a second. There was a study of a coffee machine, and then by the coffee machine they say like put 100 yen or whatever it was, but something like that, after you had a coffee. And they did it in 3 conditions. One with no picture or nothing on the wall. Another with a picture of someone's face on the wall. And another condition was a picture of a plant.
Oh, right.
And in the first condition, when there was no picture, people left the least amount of money.
Oh, really?
People, when there was a picture of a plant, people left a little bit more money, but it wasn't really that much difference. But the big difference was when there was a picture of a face. Oh. So they said, okay, so does it matter whether this is a real face or a cartoon face? Right. And it didn't matter whether it was a real or cartoon face. And then they went even further and they said, okay, let's just put that ... smile, like a smiley. And, and it had the same effect. So they concluded that, it doesn't really matter whether it's your face or a cartoon face or even just those, emoji, that people will actually perform better because they feel that they're being watched and then become self-conscious about their actions. So maybe a little bit less texting at the back of the class.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, Timothy, Snap camera. Oh, Timmy, cool. Snap, check that one out.
Timmy.
Oh, no, at Snap camera. I'm not really that. Oh, yeah. Okay, that actually looks pretty cool.
Snap camera. What's that?
I see myself with a flaming head.
I've seen that one before. Yeah, I've seen that. Nanzan, they had that the other week. Yeah, they had different things, bows on their head.
Are you teaching at Nanzan?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
How's life at Nanzan?
Oh, it's to be honest, it was much easier online because they can they don't have to wear masks.
Ah, right.
They can speak to different people, and you don't have any problems. You just do the task. They do the task. We have a break halfway through.
Yeah.
It's 100-minute lesson, so I have a break, 10-minute break in the middle, and then it's fine. And with the Zoom as well, we did an hour's Zoom, and then they had to do something beforehand if they wanted to, and they could do something afterwards. Sorted, manage your own time, sort of thing. So it's it was a lot easier that way. So, but other places online is difficult when they won't switch the cameras on.
Let me drop this link in. That's the link for the
new one at 9. We've got
is really very good. There's lots of things to use on there or ideas that you can adapt. There's also, yes. There's also, you can't see that. Okay. See if I can open this link. Wow. Seriously? I was just going to recommend this book, but it's £43.
Oh,
wow. I can actually, yeah. It's called Motivating Learning by Dornier and Jill Hadfield. And in that book, she's written some guided meditation for language learners, or visualization, I think she uses the word. They use the word, sorry. They did write it together. She's got affirmation sheets too. Oh, steal stuff from her book.
oh, we better start again.
Okay, are you ready to roll? Okay.
Okay, back to you, Len.
Okay, so this second part, we are going to, going to have a look at some activities. Two activities I'd like to introduce. The first is one taken from, we'll get to that point, taken from Mark Helgeson's excellent book, which is called English Teaching and the Science of Happiness, which came out 2 years ago. I've got a picture for that in a moment. One of the things that we can do for students to help them manage their own well-being, because it's not just about activities we do. We want students to take away something that they can actually use for themselves. So one of the big things for students in Japan is anxiety, is worrying about using English in the classroom, fear of each other, fear of the teacher sometimes, and not being able to relax. So as part of an activity, we introduced to students the idea from Sonia Lyubomirsky that 50% of our happiness is determined by genetics. We're just born with a certain amount of happiness, and some of us are born with more than others. But on the positive side, 50% of our happiness is determined by two things. 40% is determined by how we think, and then 10% by our circumstances. So even we create the most luxurious classroom situation for students, if we don't connect with what's going on in their minds and address their fears and worries in the classroom, then it won't have as big an effect as we want. So what did Sonia Lyubomirsky find in her research in happiness? Well, she found out a number of things that happy people do. And I'm going to stop sharing at this point and put a question into chat, or you might want to just come and chat. What do you think happy people do? What do you think happy people do? There's a question. What do you think happy people, what do happy people do every day? I mean, what is the thing that you think a happy person would be doing this every day? What kind of things do you think that they'd be doing? Maybe you can just pop it into chat. Let's get a little translation up there. Sorry, I'm a little bit slow on. Okay, let's just drop that into. They're appreciative. Okay, yeah. Pay attention. Notice. Oh, yay. Yes. Yeah, there we go. Laugh. Indeed. Yes, annoy people who aren't happy all the day. Yeah, I can say that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. Hug people. That's, yeah, we can't do that right now, but maybe we can do air hugs. You know, hug ourselves and focus on the now. Yeah, contentment. Yeah, I like that word, contentment. The person sitting behind me is a big fan of contentment. Yes, they're laughing at me now, saying, lol. Yeah, okay. So those are your ideas. Let's see what high school students said. So I did this activity with high school students just to see if it worked. And let me share my screen with you again. Oops, wrong one. Wait. Okay, so students said, hey, come back. Students said the things that happy people do are playing computer games, talking with their friends, sleep well, yeah, playing music, hiking, shopping. Happy people go shopping, evidently, eating ice cream and reading. So in the minds of high school students, these are the kind of things that happy people do. Nice, isn't it? Ice cream shopping, yes, at Baskin Robbins, of course. So, you know, and it's nice to see, you know, their ideas, and then we can say, okay, so you have your ideas. These are what high school students say are their ideas. What do scientists? Wasn't there Ikigai? Ikigai, maybe. I don't know. Good question. Yes, and it rings a bell. And if I remember, I'll bring it back up. Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah. Purpose creates happiness. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, let's check it out a bit later then. So the Lubomirsky, what did she say makes people happy? So we first have people think about their ideas and then contrast it with what scientists say make people happy. And Lubomirsky came up with the following 8 points. And a lot of them we just talked about, right? Gratitude, being kind, slowing down, saying thank you to other people, forgiving others, making friends, being healthy, and managing your stress. Wow. So some of these will need a little bit of explanation for students. So we can do that by giving them a little bit of a quiz and saying, okay, so the first thing that makes people happy is gratitude. And there are many good things. We can remember them if we write them down. So what should we do? And fill in the blank. We should. Dun, 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 dun. Let's shout out. Just type we should. This is kind of easy for you guys, right? Because you can see the answers actually written on the screen. But for high school students, it's still a nice little bit challenge, and they're going to type in the answer right. So first thing is to write down good things. And then we can give an example. So think of an example of something that you are grateful for today and just type it into the chat. What's something that you are grateful for today that you can share? Oops. What's something that you're grateful for today? Oh, Oh, you've got an air conditioner. I'm so envious. I'm grateful I can present while being sick. I'm actually really, really sick today. And I didn't think I was going to be able to do this, but I could. So my vegetables are still alive. Yes. And more water is coming next week. Oh, Yoko, you're so lucky. I wish I could drink. That is really nice, you know, to get out and mix with people. So we can give our own example. Tasty dinner, yes. I'm waiting for mine. We can give our example to students of things that we're grateful for. And we can stress that it's, as you can see in our answers, good health, friends, teachers, having a home. Yeah, great. We can emphasize that it doesn't matter whether it's a really big thing or just one really small thing. Like I went to the supermarket today, and when I paid, the woman smiled at me. I was so happy because usually people don't look at me in the supermarket. They're just busy doing what they're doing. And I was really grateful that the woman smiled at me. It was really nice. But, you know, simple things like that. Tasty dinner, fantastic, very good example. When we say to students, what are you grateful for? Maybe they can't think and getting the stress level is coming up, but you say it's not that difficult. Okay, anyway, let's not wax lyrical. Being kind, what should you do? Do things for other people will make both of you happy. Doing things for other people will make both of you happy, right? Being kind. So the answer here is do kind things. Yeah, do nice things, do kind things for other people. So if you'd like to share, what's one kind thing that you've done today for somebody else? Oh, yay. There you go. Yeah, you gotta watch those people with no answers. There you go. Yeah. When you know, I made a cup of tea. No, actually, I didn't make a cup of tea. Said hello to an elderly neighbor. Yeah. Yes. Just saying hello to somebody. Joined another organization to show support. Fantastic. And you know, these just very played with your kids. Yes. And you know, again, it's all bringing all these kind of big ideas back to the local, you know, thinking the big idea, but just making it really personal. And that connects with students, and that makes them feel that, oh yeah, actually, yeah, you know, I can talk about that now. I don't have to think like I did something really altruistic, but all those things are, but we just tend to think they're not. Okay, so let's move on. Slow down. So the third thing we can introduce to students is this idea of slowing down, thinking about good things that happen every day. That's kind of what we've just been doing, is thinking about good things today, right? So when we slow down, what are we doing? Students on this activity, it's kind of an information exchange, so they have the answers. So if you don't know the word that goes in here, and you don't know Mark Helgeson and his fascination with blueberries, if if you know those things, you can guess the word in the middle. But if not, I'm going to write it for you in American English. Savoring, so slowing down, to savor things. Mark often talks about using blueberries. You can use whatever you like, although actually you can't really at the moment with coronavirus use that much, but you can encourage students to try this out when they go home, the whole slow eating. Just before you, raisins, usually in this kind of activity, people use raisins, but Mark says that often Japanese students don't like raisins, so he uses blueberries. I just think his students have got expensive taste. But you can use a raisin, you can use blueberry, anything, and try this yourself. When you eat something, just stop, hold it, smell it, look at it, just taste it a little bit, and really hold that flavor and think about, you know, enjoying eating, enjoying what you are doing and being in the moment with that. This is not something we can experience at the moment in a classroom. You may be online, but maybe not. But the idea is there that we can encourage students to go away and savor something, slow down, eat a little bit more slowly, think about the taste of your food. I tried this at home with our daughter, Sakura, and you know, I asked this question as we were eating, you know, so how does it taste? And Sakura's answer is, oishii. Yeah, but how does it taste? Oishii. But how does it taste? And if you ask this question to yourself sometimes, yeah, we don't know. It's just like, yeah, I'm just eating. But actually stop, savor the flavors, slow down a little bit. And maybe you already do this, but if you don't, try it. See how you feel about certain types of food. So that's another idea. Saying thank you. So this has already come up. Many people help us every day. Tell them thank you. Because this is sending the message that you are important. And I know that you're important. I'm letting you know that you're important. So telling people thank you. For example, I said thank you to Jackson today. I wasn't just being kind. I was also saying thank you to him for talking at the EBM. Because, you know, everybody's input and everybody who talks at the EBM and makes that effort, they are important. And I'm very grateful for everybody's input, even though I didn't give anything today. So another idea. We didn't run too late. Okay, so forgiveness. This might be a strange idea for students. Forgiving other people makes you happy? Okay, so the idea here is if you don't forgive people, if you hold on to your feelings, you'll hold on to the problem. So one way that you know, we can increase our happiness is to let things go. So let's take a moment now to think about something not so good that happened to you, but you let it go. I don't know whether you want to share that or not, but maybe you can. Oh, there you go. Sorry, Yoko, I missed what you wrote. Yeah, that's wonderful. Saying thank you to your, even to your pets who have passed away. Yeah. And if any of you have ever watched Marie Kondo, KonMari, she's so wonderful because she gets people to say thank you to their clothes before they throw them away. And before we throw things away, yeah, maybe just saying thank you to those things too. It's another nice thing to do. It just creates a different feeling. Go throw something away today and say thank you to it. See what happens. See how you feel. Anyway, thank you, Yoko, for that. Forgiving other people. Mm. Well, so it might be a difficult thing to think of. So maybe I'll give an example first. Yes, why not? You know, because if you hold it and you still think that, you know, the person is acting in a certain way because they're just like that, then yeah, you'll always see them as, yeah. I understand what, let me give you a different example. So I'm driving the car, and you know, I leave distance between the car in front of me, and then suddenly from the inside lane, vroom, comes a car, pulls in front of me, and I have to brake. And you know, what's the reaction? Some nasty word comes out of my mouth, and here I am. Now I'm agitated, irritated, but I have to calm down, because if I don't, then my own driving is going to be impaired. It's going to be bad. So I forgive them. And I used to be a really angry driver, and sometimes maybe I still am, but a lot of the time when things like that happen on driving, I try to forgive them. I try to think that, you know, maybe you're just in a hurry because you need to be somewhere else. Maybe you needed to do that. So it's okay. You know, I'm okay. It makes me feel a little better about myself rather than having an angry reaction, maybe just forgiving the person. But sometimes if the action is dangerous, then we shouldn't forgive the action. It gets a bit more complicated there. Yeah, yeah, yes. All you people who came late today, I forgive you. I'm not going to hold it here. Okay, so that's another idea, the idea of forgiveness. Yes, yeah, and talking a little bit about anger sometimes too is good. Okay, so another simple idea is making friends. Make time for friends, because again, we need to let them know that they're important people in our life. For example, beginning of this year, I sent out Facebook messages to people on my Facebook friends list that I haven't talked to in years. And I thought, you know, I'm going to make time. I'm going to write to people and make time, and, you know, just let them know that even we haven't talked for a few years, that they still are there on my radar. And yeah, I think one person replied. That was it. But I forgave those that didn't reply. But actually making that step, whether it's successful or not, doesn't matter. There you go. On a scale of 1 to 10, how okay are you? It changes the okay answer completely. Okay. Yeah, that's fantastic. Timmy, thanks. Yeah. Again, on social media as well, we can do something like that. Or even, you know, another idea, you know, I don't know, we could do that in the classroom. That would be really interesting to do. Just thinking something like a piece of paper where people would pull off parts of the piece of paper, you know, and hand it to you. But no, but really, yeah, really, really nice idea, making time for friends, reaching out to other people. And even if you haven't done it recently, just making a first step and doing something differently each day. So yeah, that's that idea. Okay, let's carry on. And Facebook, my friends, Reshape old photos. Hey, that's interesting, Namiko. Maybe you could send me a Facebook friend request and resharing. Right. Okay. So resharing. Okay. So resharing old photos. Yes. 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 Oh, thank you for the idea. I think I'm going to be doing that a bit later tomorrow, maybe. Okay. So the last idea that we're going to introduce is being healthy. It means taking care of your mind. And this is not the last one, sorry. Taking care of your mind and body. Healthy mind, healthy body are both important. What do you do to keep your mind healthy? What do you do to keep your body healthy? So that's body health is perhaps easier. You know, people can say, I play sports, but how do you take care of your mind? What kind of example could you give for students about taking care of your mind? Have you ever done it? If you've never done it or talked about it. Sleep. That's a great answer. Meditate, yeah. And we can do that in the classroom as well. We can say, introduce it. Why not try a breathing exercise or, you know, a body scan exercise? Going for a walk, yeah. And again, there is a thing about getting students to stand up and move around when they're in the classroom, maybe even online, just take a few moments to stand up, stretch your legs. Facial massage. Wow. Wow. Okay. Yoko, I'm waiting for an invite. I also love to do facial massage. Trash TV. TikTok. Interesting. Yeah. Why not? Binge watching TV. Your favorite TV show. You just sit down and watch it for a few hours just to clear things out of your mind. Yeah. Okay. TikTok. I've never used TikTok. It's a mystery to me, that one. Maybe Namiko, you can also introduce that. Okay. So managing stress. The last thing, healthy body. But yeah, staying hydrated. Yes. Another simple idea that students will get that, you know, if you don't drink enough water, then yeah, you won't be able to focus. Yeah, dehydration, very good. Managing your stress was the last one. Learning to live with your problems and learning to live with your stress. So everyone has problems in life. We all have stress. But the good news is we can work on them. We can work on them. And then talk about things that problems for you or something that's making you stressed that you're working on at the moment. My road rage against other drivers is, you know, a very stressful experience, but I'm working on it. That's not true, really. Sorry. But, you know, maybe something more immediate, something that's giving you stress in your own life. For example, you know, I find it very stressful being in the classroom with the coronavirus, having to work behind a mask, and particularly now in summer, it's getting sweaty. So I need to manage that. And how do I manage that? By doing the other things on the list, by managing, you know, by doing activities that remind me of things that I'm grateful for, being kind to other people, spending time on positive things will really help me work through the other things that are stresses in my life. So this is from Mark Hegelson's book. I've got the link up here now. English Teaching and the Science of Happiness. There's a link there for the picture. And after this activity, after introducing the ideas of how to promote well-being for students, things that they can do outside the classroom, Mark recommends writing a happiness haiku. Do we have time to do this? Let's see. So the happiness haiku is an example. Our feelings reflect the things we do every day. Choose to be happy. And then we explain to students that this is based on the same as I was going to say standard haiku, but the 575 form of haiku. But this time we're using, oh, where's it gone from my mind? Oh my gosh. No.
Syllables.
Thank you.
Syllables.
Syllables. Thank you very much. Syllables, using syllables. And choose one or more of these topics and write a haiku. So gratitude, being kind, slowing down, saying thank you, forgiving others, making friends, being healthy, or managing your stress. Think of a short haiku that you could write if you like to do. I'm going to stop this now. And think of a short haiku you can do now and just, wow, Michael, you're so fast. Maybe falls. Oh, no, sorry, that wasn't a haiku. It's like, Michael, you've written a haiku there. No. So try writing a short haiku based on one of those topics of happiness. I'm going to put the slides back up now. Yay, there we go. Ah, that's where it is. And just drop it into the chat. It'll take a few minutes. It's 9:26 now. So we'll just do this until 9:30, a little bit of time for writing, and then we'll share. Yeah. Marker pen. Oh, very nice. Great, there we go. So it's 7:30, 7:31. Regulate breathing, take a break from online life. Chew food, savor tastes. Yeah, lovely. Wonderful. Stress is in our lives. It shows that we are human. Learn to let it go. Yeah, I love that line. It shows that we are human. We are human. And Michael, you wrote, need some outdoor sport, freedom from my heavy mind. Earth, wind, water, breathes happy. Lovely.
2 syllables and happy. Damn it.
Well, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter at all. And sometimes, students ask if they can write different kind of haiku. Here's some that Mark shared. We have many friends. If you feel sad, your friends help. We must savor friends. That is really nice, savoring friends. Just breathe air slowly. It will calm your angry mind and you can forgive. There you go. Yes. Okay. So the second activity I wanted to share is an activity that I wrote myself, and it's called Don't Let Things Get You Down. And the idea comes from, I noticed that students don't have a lot of, the students that I teach don't have a lot of vocabulary for emotion words. When I ask them, how do you think someone feels? They find it difficult to empathize, or to not to empathize, to find the words to express what the other person might be feeling. So they focus on the person's actions. I run an activity that I ask students to look at a picture and then write some advice. Oh, by the way, how many different words do you know that are similar to happy? So we talk about, knowing emotion words. If you had to write a list of how many words that are similar to happy, how many could you write? Maybe you could write a lot, maybe not so many. We're going to move on. I'll leave that question for you to ponder outside of this time. But it's a good thing to think about. How extensive is the vocabulary that students have for emotion words? If you have an emotion and you can't find a word to express that emotion, it remains unnamed. And psychology has found, or research in psychology has found, that when we are unable to give names to our emotions, we're less likely to be able to control them. So actually, positively naming our feelings or other people's feelings and then learning those words is going to be something very useful. Hence this activity. So the activity was a bunch of people in photographs, and can you offer them a different point of view? Can you give them some advice that will help them by changing their point of view? So here's the first one. The person got an F on the test. So your friend, they come to you and they say, look, I got an F on the test. I'm no good at anything. What would you say to them? What would you say to them to help them? What is a different point of view? So have a think about it. Just type your answer. What would you say to the person? I got an F on the test, no good at anything. What would you say to them? What would you say to help them? Got an F on the test. Oh, that's yeah. I wonder why. Oh my gosh. But it's good. It's a sense of humor. Hopefully your friend will appreciate that and not think that you're being mean to them. Any more? Anyone want to add to that? The test was badly designed. Tests don't measure intelligence. Okay. Yeah, but I still got an F. I'm not good at anything. Yeah. And before I show you, teacher failed to read your answer. Excellent. Right. So, yeah, these are all valid answers. You got an F because you're very unique to others. Yeah, you are good at being my friend. I love these answers. Okay, so what do you think students replied? I was shocked. So I did this with students and I thought, okay, they're gonna, I've taught them emotion words. I've taught them some positive emotion words, positive phrases that you can use when you're trying to encourage somebody when they come to you. And obviously, if you got an F on the test, you're not very happy. You're saying to yourself, I'm no good at anything. You're awfulizing your situation. And what do students say to each other? I don't have this written down, so I'll just have to say it. Students said things like, yeah, I'm no good at studying either. So, don't worry about it. We're all bad at everything. So instead of giving some, giving away the answer, instead of being helpful to their friend, they started sympathizing with their friend and saying, yeah, I don't get good grades either. And I'm not really good at anything. And I saw this and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to change this activity. So I changed the activity, and before the activity gave students a different set of phrases and language that they could use, and then show them examples. So I'm not good at anything. Well, look on the bright side. You're good at other things. So we want to be helpful to somebody. How about something like this? Good at other things. The idea, a different idea. Maybe you're not good at this test, but maybe you're good at playing sports, or maybe you're good at, cooking, or maybe you're good at, being a friend. There you go, Namika. You're good at being a friend. So it doesn't really matter about, getting an F on one test. Oh, I get the see me after class comment now. Hey, that was good. How about this one? If the date isn't successful, I'll be single forever. What kind of advice would you give this person? If this date isn't successful, I'll be single forever. Here, you can see he's on his smartphone having a good time, eh? Students at this point were saying things like, well, don't worry about it. You can find another guy. There's lots of other guys you can find. This kind of comment. But how would you answer this person who's your friend who says, if this date with this guy isn't successful, I'm going to be single forever. There you go. Exactly. Think about that one. Yeah. Okay. All right. So again, you can be happy and be single. And so I actually, like Namika, you gave another really great piece of advice. Yeah, we have to stop seeing relationships as the source of happiness. We can be happy without thinking about relationship first. We should be happy first. And then whatever happens, yeah, we're still going to be happy. So don't let things get the better of you. So another phrase that we can teach to students: I'm late again for class. Got lots of students like this. It's all my fault for having fun. I was up texting all night, texting my best friend and complaining about my English teacher for giving me so much homework. Now I'm late again for class and it's my fault. What would you do for this kind of student? What would you say? Some of my students were writing, yeah, I'm always late for class too. Don't worry about it. It's okay. And again, this is a good response from students because they're telling us about, how they feel about the class through, or not just our class, but classes in general, perhaps, through their answers. Oh, starting to feel hungry. Should we just run through these then?
Yeah.
Okay. So on the other hand, you're not late every day. Sometimes it's important to have fun too. So even though we got negative situations, sometimes it's important to have fun at the same time. And these kind of examples are, come from cognitive-based therapy, or CBT. And we take an idea and then we think about other explanations or disputing that idea and replacing it with something else. So things like, on the other hand, sometimes it's okay to have fun. So, if you've been late, it's okay. So rather than being black and white, everything has to be decided. Everyone thinks I'm stupid because I made a mistake. Hey, this is me. I was like this as a kid. They put me on a dunce cap and made me write lines on a board. It's kind of an experience that I've had. But students, again, were writing things like, yeah, I feel stupid too. So don't worry about it. I always make mistakes. And again, different phrases, different kinds of language we can introduce. Students take the rough with the smooth. Other people make mistakes too. And maybe most people didn't even notice your mistake. I did the treasury reports for the Jolt Brain Sick for 7 years, and 1 month I missed sending the report on time. Actually, no, I totally forgot to send the report. And then I realized, and I was so panicked and I apologized to so many people. And then someone wrote to me, don't have to worry about it. If nobody told you you were late, it means they either didn't notice your mistake or they didn't think it was important. So don't worry about it. So there's a little bit of this in all of us, and teaching this kind of additional language for, this is, I'm teaching for maybe around TOEIC 400, 450 students, to give them a bit more vocabulary to think about making positive statements in the classroom. Teacher looks angry. They must be about to tell me I failed. Yes, exactly. And then we can talk about those people as well. Here's another. The teacher looks angry. They must be about to tell me I failed. People often tell me I look angry with my big smile. Well, actually, no, they tell me I always look happy. So, I must be okay with anything that they do. Sometimes we think people are angry at us, but they might not be angry at us. They might be angry at someone else. So again, introducing another idea for students. So whatever they write as their answers, we introducing another idea, another way of looking at things that is perhaps a little bit more positive than what they wrote. And then they compare what they wrote to the answer that I've written, and think about the difference and think whether they might like to pick up and adopt that way of talking. maybe a great one for Japanese students. Today is going to be bad, really bad. I'm so sleepy. Yeah, I've got one student like this. He just, he comes in, just nods off. And if you think so at the beginning of the day, what can we do as teachers, right? Well, first, we want to find out what the students are thinking. So let's find out what they're thinking, offer them a different example. For example, yeah, today's just begun though, keep your chin up. You can do whatever you want after school. And again, just another idea. You can think of your own ideas, things that you want to introduce students to, that just bend their perception of reality to a positive way, even though they may be hearing something a little bit negative. Oops. My friends say nice things to me, but I don't think they mean them. Does it matter? I don't know. Some of the students, again, agree with these statements. They say, yeah, I think some of my friends are like that too. Oh, okay. So how about being optimistic? Maybe they really do mean them. Think about it. Maybe they really do mean what they say. And then I should have studied harder. And students wrote comments like, oh, hello. Students wrote comments like, yeah, because you are lazy, because you stayed out all night playing with your friends. So you should study harder. I was kind of, again, surprised with these results, but also it's an opportunity I found to introduce students to other ideas, like taking the bad with the good. Learning experiences are good for you, are useful. And in the future, you can do better. So don't give up. And these are positive messages that are echoing situations in the classroom. All these examples come from thinking patterns such as catastrophizing, awfulizing, principles in psychology that people apply to themselves. The kind of negative self-talk that people have. And the examples two things, we can find out how students are thinking about themselves through our answers, but also it's an opportunity to inject some kind of positive angle through our answers to students. Here are references for the session this evening. Two books I drew on heavily, Cozzolino's Social Neuroscience of Education, very, very readable. It's got a lot of references, so it looks like a really big book, but it's not. And another book by Luis Cozzolino called Attachment-Based Teaching, Creating a Tribal Classroom. Again, very easy to read, not too heavy on the neuroscience. Mark's book, English Teaching and the Science of Happiness, and a book by Dan Siegel called Brainstorm, The Power and Purpose of the Teenage Brain. Again, very easy to read book. And this is all recently written stuff. That is everything that I wanted to cover this evening. Kind of sped up a little bit at the end because we've got 10 minutes left. And if anybody had questions, comments that they wanted to add, I thought it's good to give some time for that. Thank you very much. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone else.
Are there any? Oh, first of all, just to remind you, there's a feedback form there for Glenn's. If you have a bit of time, a couple of minutes later. Do you have any questions for Glenn? Any questions, anybody?
Yoko's got a hand up. Hi, Yoko.
Hey, Graham.
Hi, Yoko.
Thank you very much for the informative session. And by the way, what is the connection with you and Mike Ferguson?
The connection.
Yes.
About 15 years ago, I saw him do a presentation in Nagoya. And then about 10 years ago, there was the brain conferences organized by Mark, Curtis Kelly, and
You mean FAB? FAAB.
Yes,
FAB?
yes, yes.
In Nanzan?
I went to Kitakyushu.
I see.
Maybe, yeah. And I
see.
also met Claire there as well. I listened to her wonderful presentation on the Melt Lounge at Gifu Shotoku University. And by serendipity, found myself working there. But
Yeah,
Mark-
because
Mm,
in my TESOL program in NAFS, so Mark was like a supervisor and then taught us how to create the classroom to help students make more happy. So that's why some slide and some information and slide reminds me to think about his lecturer. So
Yes.
therefore,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd love to take his lecture.
And it is very important to focus on to mention about happiness, because recently lots of students lost motivation because of the Zoom session. So
Yes.
therefore, Glenn, thank you very much to remind me to use a little technique to encourage my students. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Somebody can't. Yeah, I'm just going to find the link again because it doesn't work. Yoko, could you tell us about Nagoya's next week? Nagoya have an event you'd probably like to tell us about. Hang on. I'll find the link for the.
Thank you. Thank you for giving a few seconds to announce the Sunday program, July 1st, Sunday 1 to 5. Nagoya Jout is hosting Young Runner Teachers Forum. So I could put the registration form link and abstract and timetable. And also, this is the fundraising to help the Hansa project. A perennial speaker, Nick Bilbro, set up the organization to help the Palestinian children and other children to give more equal education. So I highly recommend you to support his project and fundraising. And also, Blend, could you give a co-host authority? I'd like to share the flyer.
Oh, I can't do that. Who can give a co-host? Can you do that, Glenn?
Sure, maybe.
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 I'll make Yoko host. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because I made a cutie, wonderful flyer to promote.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so that's why I'd like to share. And also, Namiko, are you here? She's also the MyShare presenter. So don't miss out. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Namiko, are you
Yes,
here?
please come.
Yes, come on. Yes. So I'd like to share the flyer. So, and also Jackson Lee, former gift out president, also will be MyShare speaker. So he will talk about ALT perspective. So wait a minute. Where is the flyer? I feel a little pressure to choose. Always I'm kind of nervous to choose a one. Oh, here we go. Yes. So by the way, Blend, could you help me? Because both Nagoya Jout president and vice president cannot make the forum. So therefore, maybe Jout president Dawn would be would help me to do introduce or maybe opening ceremony. So can you take a look at the Nagoya Jout present Young Learner Teachers Forum? July 1st, Sunday, 1 to 5 p.m. So Nick Bilbro is a present speaker, and Amiko Tsuruta from Tokyo Jout, Nicholas J. Wilson from Nagano, Masako Moriwaki from Nagano Jout to Yukiko Yamami from Nagoya Jout and Emily Chong Nagoya Niigata Jout and Jackson Lee. Yes, our hero Gifu Jout will be my share speaker. So let's read right now. Please do it. And also
Sunday.
hope.
Excellent.
Yes, Sunday. Yes. And 1, 2, 5. And I need you, Brent. I need someone to be a co-pilot.
Okay,
Yeah, lots of Nagoya member cannot make it. So
I'll
I'm kind of
contact
nervous.
I'll contact you in a week, Yoko.
Yes, thank you.
Tomorrow-
if I'm
tomorrow.
stranded, yes, I need
Okay.
someone to
Okay.
support the event. But anyway, yes. So Namiko, thank you for contributing Nagoya Jout, and also Natsuho, can you make it? If you possible, Natsuho, could you help me?
I hope so, but I'm not sure with my schedule yet.
Okay.
Might be working. Sorry.
Yes, if you have free time, 1 hour or 2 hours, just let me know. Yes.
Love would be 応援してます。
ありがとうございます。
All right.
Yeah, Yoko-san, I'm promoting it through my own network as well. So
Please,
hopefully we'll
thank you.
looking forward.
Yes. Yes. So for this week, I jump on the lots of Jout event to announce that, like a Tokyo Jout event and also other events. So hopefully I could invite more teachers on July 1st. Thank you, Brent.
So do that. Oh, and Bob's come from Osaka. Nice to see you, Bob.
Oh,
Have you got,
Bob-san.
have you got any
Hey, good
events
to see
coming
you.
up, Bob, you'd like to tell us about?
Oh,
Thank you very much for promoting us, sharing our event on your Facebook
Oh yeah,
page.
yeah. There's we're co-hosting an event tomorrow with Kansai Sitar, and that's from 2 to 5. It's international collaboration between 2 teachers that are now and had also previously been teaching at Osaka Gakuen University, but one had been teaching in Dubai. So they had some international collaborative projects they did. And also Kip Cates is presenting for Sendai Jolt from 3 to 5. It's too bad they're conflicting, but 2 worthwhile international events
Oh, yeah.
tomorrow afternoon. So anyway, both of them you need to pre-register. So check out the Jolt website for those details.
Okay. And Bob and Yoko, just share events on our page. You just have to share them. Just send the link anytime is okay.
thank you. Okay.
What else we got to do?
And
Oh,
Bob, is it okay to post the Young Runner Teacher Forum flyer on Osaka Jout Facebook page?
As long as it's nothing indecent, then sure. Yeah, of course.
Decent.
If you think it's appropriate, go for it. If it's not, we'll cull it. But go for it. Yeah, it's a forum. It's an open forum.
Thank you.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, Gifu Jolt. Yeah, feel free anytime.
most
you don't need
chapters
to
are
wait.
good like that.
And in fact, I think every chapter should be just kind of promoting to your group.
Yeah.
You know what is already freely available information on the Jolt website, but people like reminders. People need reminders, right? So so feel free anytime to post on our page and
Thank
on
you very
your
much.
page. Yeah, you bet.
Thanks, Bob. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thanks,
And-
Glenn. Very informative. Very
Thank you for
interesting.
joining.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. That's
Time to call time.
cool time.
All right.
Next
No
time
last
we've-
orders. Ringing the bell.
Take care. Thanks, Gifu Jolt. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, you guys.
And look forward to seeing you in Osaka and
Somewhere else. Yeah.
there.
At another box. Okay. See you.
Right.
Take care,
Thank you.
everybody.
and then